Well, hello there ladies and gentlemen, I'm Philanthropone and I am back with another top 3 video here, this time for the months of July and August of 2018. I have one honorable mention, and that game has been in early access for a while now, but it just recently launched fully, and that game is Titanic VR. I don't normally include games that have been on the list before in the past, but there was a significant update in the game where you can actually watch the Titanic sink. Pretty crazy, so without further ado, here are my top 3 favorite HTC Vive games to release in July and August of 2018. Number 3, Pixel Ripped 1989. I went into Pixel Ripped 1989 not expecting a whole lot, probably because I didn't know what the game was about. But what I discovered was a very fun game with a really cool and creative concept. Your player plays on a retro handheld gaming console while trying to avoid distractions and obstacles that occur in the world around you. And your handheld console can be used in unique ways to interact with your environment, such as using it as a reticle for shooting down monsters out of the sky, but are actually just pigeons in the real world.
It's the go-to weapon.
And that's one of my favorite aspects of the game, where it blends both the game world and the character's real world together. And as far as the retro game you play on the handheld device, it's actually really fun and is no walk in the park either. Thankfully, the game was ahead of its time in 1989, as there are checkpoints throughout each level, because we all know games in the 80s and 90s were a lot less forgiving regarding save points, regarding checkpoints, tutorials, and just hand-holding in general. Number 2, Torn. When I first saw the trailer of Torn, I immediately hoped that this was a game that would be in the ranks of my top 2 favorite HTC Vive games of all time, that being The Gallery and Form. And while it does fall short of those 2 games in my opinion, it's still one I can recommend. It's got good voice acting, detailed environments, and puzzles as you progress through an abandoned mansion that once belonged to Dr. Lawrence Talbot, who is a scientist who has been missing for 64 years. Another thing that impressed me about the game was the player's ability to interact with pretty much any object you see in the game. You do this using the gravity tool, which is your go-to item for solving the game's puzzles. The one thing that prevented this game from reaching the ranks of The Gallery and Form for me was that the puzzles, while there is some variety, do get a bit repetitive, where most involve simply plugging things into the wall, floor, or ceiling using the gravity tool. Nonetheless, the game makes for a very immersive experience, and I can recommend checking it out. And number 1, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I went into this one really not knowing what to expect, and I was absolutely blown away by the opening credits, which has your character floating on a raft as you progress to new areas, all while reading the names of the people who created this epic title. The other thing I was not prepared for was the very unique camera angle the player is given as they control their character. The game plays in a third-person perspective, but the VR player still has the freedom to look around 360 degrees room scale, and when you move your character, the game's camera moves with you. I had never experienced a game like this in VR, and it was very impressive, I must say. And I also did not experience any motion sickness, but results may vary there. And the visuals are nothing short of stunning, where in my video for the game I made the bold claim that I pretty much couldn't see a screen door effect no matter how hard I looked, given the lighting and texture conditions were suitable for that to happen. Pretty impressive, and while I wouldn't call the game scary, there is some psychological uneasiness that is part of the experience, namely the creepy whispers you hear as you play, especially by the fact that the words spoken to you correlate with the actions you perform in the game.
What is she looking at? What is she leaving behind? I know what she's thinking.
Anyway, I was gonna say those voices, I don't know how it sounds on the footage, but it literally feels like someone is like whispering in my ear from like an inch away.
No one will judge her. No one will ever know.
Another fun fact is that the game used to be a desktop game, only to come out with a separate standalone VR version of the game a year after its initial release in 2017. And there you have it, guys. Once again, my top 3 favorite HTC Vive games to release in the months of July and August of 2018. As always, guys, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video and let me know in the comments what your favorite Vive games were in those months. Also, if you're already subscribed to my channel, don't forget to hit that bell next to the subscribe button so you can be notified when I upload a new video. So that's all for this one. Thank you once again. Until next time, peace.